quickly before going to the next slide, or should we do that later? Actually, I'll just do it now because a lot of you guys don't know the ACT as well as you guys know the SAT. And so I'll say for the, I'll just start right in with the differences and how ACT differs from the SAT. So I'll start with the English section because it is the first section and it's like the equivalent of the writing one. Yeah, okay. So I'll go section by section first. So the English section, I found it easier than the SAT one because so for the ACT one, all you need is there's this cheat sheet by Erica Meltzer, and I only use that. And if you use it, you don't need anything else. The ACT English was the hardest section for me when I first gave the ACT. Like as a diagnosis, I got terrible on it, but then it's really just knowing the rules and practicing. Like it's like a 11-page cheat sheet, and once you know all the rules, I got a full score after. It was the hardest section, and then it became the easiest section. And it's like you know, the reading section, it depends on how hard the passage is to you. It's the English section is the most Poraleka one you can do. A lot of the sections you just need practice, but for the ACT English, original like Porlay, you can do well in it. And yeah, so it's the one that you can study for the most. And so you can like actually do well on it and consistently well on it if you just know all the rules and know how to answer questions, which I found more difficult to do on the SAT one. SAT on it book. I don't know if it's the English section or the writing or reading section they do it, but or vocabulary on it for it. And I don't always know the meaning of a lot of vocabulary. The ACT form for it. So I found that easier in that. And then I'll go to the math section. So in ACT, the overall trend is that everything is easier. All the questions are easier, but there is less time. Okay, so in that way it balances out. But to me, I really like the questions are easier. I don't feel like this is like, oh, I can answer these as long as I like can give it in time. Where in SAT, the questions are harder, but you have less time. And so the math questions, to me, they were easier. They were more straightforward. It's Satiloxic to Pecha, but ACT, it's very straightforward. And I like geometry. I don't really like algebra. So ACT tonic geometry is hard. So I was like, yay. And so ACT I really liked it. And there is so SAT, you have like the grid-in questions, or Doshta, I don't know, in SAT. And to me that was very nerve-wracking to look as a multiple choice chilona. And so Ogula na and so it was like, oh, you're losing those points, but like if you have a multiple choice one, you still have the opportunity of getting it right by chance. But the SAT grid-in questions for math.
Yes.
Yeah, ACT doesn't have that. And so to me, that was easier because that was, I think the grading questions, at least for me, were harder. And so ACT doesn't have that. So I was like, gotcha. And I think when I give the SAT, to do the grading questions, like Shamai Takana, and like if you don't write anything on the boxes, you lose the points. But then if you don't have time for MCQ, you still click on one. And there's still like an opportunity to get marks for it by like, you know, chance. So OITA, I would say, and then I did the math reading. So ACT, I would start with the SAT. I really don't like the SAT reading section. I don't know what it's called. It's called reading too. Acha, but like the questions on difficult questions you guys for, they ask for like evidence and then why. To me it is the option to try. So and it's like they want like an analysis of the part. The questions are not straightforward. They ask for like to me if passage support ki bushcho keno mana hoy kon line tomake bolse what line makes you think of it this way. And I just found the questions very frustrating. When I felt like jota prep kori parbona, but like in the ACT English, in the ACT reading, everything is in the passage. Like you don't have to do any analysis of yourself. Everything is in the passage. As long as you can get the detail in time, you can do it. And but the ACT reading, I'll just tell you, it's like time tonic E, you get like 7 minutes per passage. And so you can't read the entire passage. You just have to get the details. You don't even have to understand like the depth meaning of the passage the way you have to do for SAT to answer the questions. And so that's what I liked about the ACT reading. And your vocabulary, they don't ask you a lot, not as much as in the SAT, I think, yeah. So that's what I found easier. And yeah, and everything is in the passage. So to me, that was like a pro thing. And then the science section, you 80% of the answers passaging. All the like, so I think each science section has like 6 questions each passage, and only one question is like about a scientific concept that you might need out of the passage at night, but it's like a very basic, like they will ask for photosynthesis like key lage chloroplast. And so, but you do need like at least O level or SSC, I think, knowledge. Kintu I never studied for the science section. They ask such basic science questions. You don't have to study for the science section, and it's all in the passage. The rest 5 questions, it's all in the passage. It's all about how quickly, and you don't even read the passage. It's like you see the graphs, and you read the question, and then you see what information you need, and you just take it from the passage. Like literally, they will ask about quantum physics, but you don't have to know quantum physics. Some are passage, and you just have to be good at like looking at the graphs. And I felt like because O level and like we had like a lot of graphs that I'll be able to do. Okay, who is not muted? Okay.
Din to free bolte ki am fajr pore uthi to buchcho amar
Sajid, could you please mute your mic?
আধা ঘন্টা 1 ঘন্টা
Okay, I think we can.
কি জরুরি কাজ আছে দোস্ত
Okay, yeah, I muted him. Okay, peace. All right. So overall, and then the writing section, I know that. So when I was considering between SAT and ACT, I mean writing section to consider or C, and for the SAT, is it called writing? It's called the essay. Actually, it's called the essay in SAT. So it's more like analysis, and to me, it was like a harder thing to do, and it's also like kata kalam, and my handwriting is very bad. And so I was like bujbanaki, and then it's like the more panicked I get, and then it's like very big handwriting and very messy handwriting, and like I don't even. And so that used to. I'm very panicked in the essay section, and then making sure that I have legible handwriting because I am known to have very bad handwriting. So and kata chira, it's harder for them to understand. They don't cut off marks, but it is harder for them to understand if you have bad handwriting or on kata chira. And for the ACT writing, like the essay, I would say for easier understanding, it's on a computer. So tomorrow spelling mistake to me, just minus like backspace square, you can fix it. And I don't know, I was like, I'm faster at typing on a keyboard than writing, like at least for me. Yeah. So to me, I was like, yeah, I mean, essay and so I would talk about the biggest pro of ACT is the availability. কারণ SAT সবাই দেয়, and so when trying to get a SAT, তুমি like তোমার অনেক আগে থেকে registration করতে হবে, না হলে তোমার ইচ্ছা মতন venue পাবা না, and then at the end you seat পাবা না. Like you have to plan beforehand. Like when I tried to register for the SAT, I didn't get the seat like twice. It's like everything's full because there's so many people, and especially COVID karna, there's less people getting seats, and so the demand for it is so high that it's really hard to get it. But in ACT, very less people know about it and very less people give it. So আমার কখনো problem হয় নাই ACT জন্য registration করতে. And it's in like, I think there's two centers ধানমন্ডিতে, which is like আমার স্কুলের পাশে, so it's like very comfortable zone. SAT center I have to go to Turkish Hope, which is very far. It's like 1 hour drive. And so that to me is also very nerve-wracking. It's a silly reason, but to me it was a very comforting reason to ACT আমার বাসায় কাছে. And so ওইভাবে that was a pro.
If you don't mind.
It's one is in the EMK Center building and Uttarata Kojanina. So yes.
Turkish Hope?
About what?
Turkish Hope.
Oh, SAC at the Turkish Hope.
Oh, SAC.
So yeah, and ACT and each test date, like in each test occasion, I would say, they take in 5 to 6 people because there are 5 to 6 computers in that room. So there are like slots. There's like a shot color slot and then a B color slot and then a 3 p.m. slot, something like that. There's like 3 slots in a day and there's like 2 test days. And so there are more slots, so more time flexibility, but they take like 5 to 6 people in each slot. And so when you have 5 to 6 people, that's why ACT was never canceled. Like SAT Jam canceled because they take in a lot of students at the same time in a venue, but ACT doesn't do it. They have strict COVID regulations. And so when there's like 5 to 6 people, like and then the social distancing because like the computers are 6 feet apart and everything. And it was before, it was like the test center was made for COVID times. And so I even like when I gave my ACT, I mean ACT-DC when everything was closed because of COVID. Like my friends could not give their SAT because it was being postponed. And tell me ACT DC because the centers were open. And yeah, so it was really easy for me. And that was the biggest pro of ACT for me. I didn't have to worry about my test ki postponed hobe naki, is my test going to be canceled? And so I never had to worry about that. And I think that's the biggest thing, because like not knowing the uncertainty of whether I'm test dite parbo na ki dite parbo na, it hampers your preparation. It hampers like really your mentality when doing it. And for me, about like SAT optional, I would be like when the universities say SAT is like standardized testing is optional, it is optional. But for international student, I would always recommend the standardized test dite parle dite, because it can only benefit your application. And so that's why when they say standardized testing is optional, they mean it's optional. It will not negatively affect your application, but giving the standardized testing and doing well will only benefit your application. And that's why I would tell you to give it. And so, and because ACT gives you more certainty to test hobe, that's why I would like prefer ACT. The another thing about ACT is test results on a idea next weekend one idea.
I want to add something about the previous point, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
আচ্ছা, সেটা হচ্ছে যে about the test optional thing, যে তোমরা একটা জিনিস দেখো, the admissions policy যে holistic systemটা, এটা কিন্তু already অনেক subjective, like admissions officer দের কি ভালো লাগতেছে, কোনটা ভালো লাগতেছে, এরকম অনেক জিনিস আছে. So like standardized testing তুমি যদি না দাও, like you just give one less objective thing for the admissions officer to judge you by. So যেহেতু admission policyটা অনেক subjective, like you should try to give more objective metrics to the admissions officer to judge you. So you should give more transcripts as much as you can. You should take standardized tests and everything. So মানে এই জন্য আমি যেটা বলবো, like I think Rudiba will agree to this, যে test দাও, well, whether it's ACT or the SAT, it doesn't matter. Test দাও, তারপরে like in your college list, if your score exceeds the 75th percentile of a certain college, then submit it. And if it doesn't, then just don't.
Yeah, I would say not to, like, I know because honestly, like especially like last year, a lot of people were forced to go test optional because SAT center they kept on postponing it. And so in that situation, or if you can't afford giving it, if it's a financial burden, don't worry about it, because they honestly, when they say they don't care, they don't care. But as we said, that it can only boost your application if you get a good score. So in that way too, that's true. So also, I wanted to bring up another pro point about ACT. And in Bangladesh, not many people give ACT, but in America, more people give ACT than SAT, or more people submit. Yeah, but basically all like my American friends, they gave ACT instead of they did better on the ACT, and they prefer over the SAT. And that was actually one of the first reasons why I chose ACT. It was because I had like friends slash relative there who didn't do as well on the SAT but did better on the ACT. And but I would say it's not because the ACT is easier, but it's because it depends on person to person. And for me, I preferred the ACT because the questions were easier, even if the shorter time makes it equal to SAT. And because it was more straightforward. SAT, sorry, but yeah. And also, the SAT has a calculator free section, my calculator use for Javana. And to me, that is very annoying because I'm not silly mistakes scoring. And when I'm nervous, those silly mistakes like skyrocket. And so 5 plus 7
makes sense. So, like you're in Earth Science Olympiad, makes sense.
And I make a lot of silly mistakes. And so ACT kind of helps me reduce that possibility in a way. So yeah, I would say another general thing I would say, I gave the SAT once, but so for the ACT, a lot of it depends on, I did bad on it. I gave it really early in class 9, 10, I don't remember. But the ACT, you have to use strategy a lot. And if you use strategy, it becomes so much easier. So it's focused a lot on strategy. And these strategies are very easily available. I mean, like I did not use any, I mean, boys, like, you know, people go to Nilketh and they buy all these books for like SAT preparation, ACT preparation. I just got the main red book, and I did Chile because it has 4 question papers, and I gave the money for the diagnosis test. I used that red book for the diagnosis test. I think it's called the official ACT prep guide, but I didn't really use that book. And all my preparation, basically it was very cheap for me. I'm in shop. I downloaded the ebooks. I read the ebooks from the internet, and then I downloaded the question paper. And because the ACT is online, I prepped for the ACT test papers. I mean, mock test was online. I see, like, I had the PDF on my computer, and then I just like, yeah, I basically did everything. Like, I did kata column. I had like a book, Jikanami notes, like, see, and then I printed out like the cheat sheets. But to me, it was like I didn't waste a lot of resources. Like at Conjemon, I really don't have any books or resources to give like that are tulap work because I didn't have any to begin with. It's all online. And so it was very cheap for me because like, and so I did use books. Like I read parts of books, like so, but I don't think it's worth spending like money on a book that you're gonna read for like 2 days, because most of the books, I mean, 2 days for it. I just used it for 2 days to get the strategies. And so just reading them online, it made me guilt-free of spending money on a book I'd used for 2 days only. And so another pro of the ACT that I really liked, but I think it's kind of OCD, is it's because of in SAP you have to bubble in the answers. So ACT because you just have to choose. So bubble in like if I feel the active space miss, so I was like, Allah, what if they don't like count this as an answer? And it's like it's very annoying to bubble because of the curriculum in Bangladesh, bubbling we're not used to it. And to me, it's very annoying to bubble answers. And so ACT, you just click on the thing on the computer. So that saves time to me because it takes me at least 5 minutes to bubble the answers at the end of the SAT question. And so I remember I ran out of time when bubbling. So that like broke my heart. And so you don't have that problem in ACT, at least for the bubbling. But like there's so, and then I'll go. And so that was like a pro. And for SAT, I practiced like on Khan Academy. And so that was annoying to, I practiced on an online format because the Khan Academy SATs are online. And so I didn't know about bubbling. And you also can't take notes. So basically, if you practice for the SAT, I would tell you to print out question papers and then do it to get the best experience to prep you for it. But for ACT, you don't have to print out question papers. So to me, that was a pro. And to me, for the ACT studying process was very digital, so I didn't have to worry about losing notes. Of course, like very back school people, like I did keep a notes kata, I would say, but I would say that's like a pro for people who are more comfortable with like the digital aspects of things. Okay, then now I will go into, I'm probably making ACT sound like a magical thing, but then I'm gonna go down to the downsides now, okay. Which is,
yes.
Yeah, time. Like the biggest con of ACT is time. So it's like a parent, your questions a little easier into time takana. So personally for the first section, English and math, after practicing, you don't struggle with time. And first 2 sections, you can get consistent results like ACT English, because it's about studying. It's like your prep and how well do you know the grammar rules. If you know it, you will consistently score. Like if you get an ACT 34, you will consistently get a 34. Like to me, to practice the score, that will be your score. I would say for for SAT, if you practiced and you got a 15,000, in the real exam, you will get a 15,000, but in ACT, it's more likely to go up and down. So I gave ACT 3 times, so I'll just use that an example. First time I got 32. On my practice test, it was a 32. So I was like, yeah, I wish I got more, but I didn't. It's okay, because what was I expecting? Practice test I did do weller in some sections than expected and lesser in some sections, but same 32. The next time I did better than expected. I was expecting a 32 again or a 33 because I was sick before the exam. I was so happy about getting a 34. And then I gave it another time because I was like, I'm going to do 34 5. If like when I'm if I have better prep, then I can get better than a 34. But next time I'm 32 by C. But I also like, I got a full score in ACT English. So I got a 36 out of 36. I got a 35 out of 36 in math, but I did very bad in reading and science. Even though like Bashar tested, I did okay. I do well in them. So I got very low, and so I got a 32 overall. But the pro of ACT is you can super score. So super score for I got a 35 total. Even though like I got a bad score second time, I got an overall 35 super score. So I would say the ACT, like your test score fluctuating, it can fluctuate more than SAT. I saw it last SAT, you get a worse score, you get a better score. It happens, but it happens a bit more in ACT, I would say. And I would say, yeah, so I would say time-wise in reading section and science section, per section for science, you have 5 minutes and you have 7 sections. And so you have to be very spot on, and you have to know when to skip sections. You have to know, like, you have to be very focused. Like, I think for SAT, because you have more time, you can spend a bit more time panicking and then going into zone. But for ACT, you have to like force yourself into a zone very fast, especially for the last 2 sections. And so yeah, and the last 2 I think for SAT, you have to, for like the ACT at least, if you read the sections, if it's all in the passage, but you have to take it out of the passage. I think Amar panic lakte for SAT reading, Amar score on fluctuate korte, because in the reading, if you don't understand the passage, like, and the passages are harder in the SAT reading section. They're like Shakespeare level language sometimes, and I'm like, I don't know this. Like, but in ACT they don't do that. They don't pull off that shit. Okay, it's like it's this generation English. And so it's easier to, the passages are easier to understand. At least for me, that was the thing. And so, and the questions are more straightforward. They won't ask you, I think there's like evidence and suggestion questions in reading. And but overall passage to get, and you can't get any information from the passage. Like, I mean, passage poor, like, I still think the wrong answer is the right answer. And so, but ACT like, because it's written in the passage. Like, if it happened like once or twice, but it's like written in the passage. So there's nothing you can do. Like, in ACT, you have a sure answer. But it's like, and so it's like you can even guess a lot of times in ACT, but then in SAT, you have like, give us the exact line. And then you're like, wait, I can't get away with this. And so, you have it, yeah. So that's why I like the ACT more. But then again, I would say, so it really depends on person to person. And so give it, like, you should give a diagnosis test and see which one you like. Oh, the second thing, what's weight?
Yeah, the thing about math sections, like in SAT, the math section is 800, like it's half of the test, but in the ACT, it's like just one quarter.
So so that's, I think for Bangladesh, that's a big con, I would say, because we're better at math. And so ACT, it's like 50% of your marks. But in ACT, it's 25% of your marks. But I thought I would do, to me, it didn't really matter much because I like the science section and I like the reading section. And so I was like, yeah, that's nice. And yeah, I'm not like a very pro at math, and I never really expected to get a full score in math. Like my best subjects are like what, earth science and biology. You could tell I'm not a math person. And so for that reason, yeah, I didn't really care about it, but I think this is something you should take into consideration. And money, they're pretty similar, but I think Ahnaf can say more. To me, I saw the test expenses were similar to me, at least.
Like
I think you can search it up.
$100, but the ACT is $150, so it's like a
really
$40 difference.
ACT taken to add for international costs.
I'm sorry.
ACT, can people from the chat? Do people from the chat know if it's size more than $100? Because like SAT, they give you an amount, like Google a search code, they give you an amount, but then there's like an international testing fee. Like the 100. Oh,
The
okay, then
usual
that's
fee is
cheaper.
like I don't know, $52, and the international fee is $49. So ওই দুইটা মিলে
Okay.
হচ্ছে 101.
So I would actually disagree because I remember when registering for the ACT, I remember thinking it was cheaper than the SAT. So yeah, but so it's a we're arguing on this. We don't like this is a controversy. You'll have to search it up and find out for yourself because I remember
I
ACT
actually
being
did. I actually did right now. So yeah.
so yeah. So okay, I think we're done now. Is there any topic that I did not cover?
I think about the curves.
Oh, the curves. I was actually thinking about it. We were thinking.
So yes.
Yeah. Before I would say it doesn't really mean anything because they curves basically they just standardize everything and SAT occur, ACT occur, and so there's no bigger benefit to any test. ACT they have a bigger curve. Oita voltage if like you can get more questions wrong, but you can still get a perfect score. Like so for like usually for a perfect score you need to get all of them right, but if it's a harder test then you can get one or two wrong and you can get a perfect score. And same for every score, like for 1520 typically if you need I don't know 50 questions right, let's just say 50 questions right, but if it's a harder test 48. And so for ACT or like they give you more freedom, what's it called, liability, it's more flexibility in the curve. You will see that they give you more points, but it's like the same. Like they do it because the ACT I guess is harder and like or it fluctuates more. But the SAT, like for the SAT you're gonna see you can make very few mistakes. You have to, I think only in the math section you can make mistakes and or the writing section you can make mistakes and still get a perfect score, but it's only in one section. But in ACT it's like I think more sections have that flexibility.
It's like math section যেমন আমার একটা ফ্রেন্ডের সাথে এরকম হয়েছে যে he got 2 questions wrong and কিন্তু সে স্কোর পাইছে হচ্ছে 760 বা 770 in the math section. Like that's like losing 3 or 4 questions.
Yeah.
But আমার ক্ষেত্রে যেটা হয়েছে যে রিডিং এন্ড রাইটিং সেকশনে when I took the SAT in December আমি 11টা ভুল করছি, but I got a 730. Like that's like losing 7 questions. So yes, I got an advantage.
But yeah, to me it was like I would say I mean like when doing a lot of practice tests for the ACT it was very consistent. It was not like the curve basically balanced out my score to show my preparation and my ability. So even if I felt like I did bad, I would still get a 34 and my last score was 34. So like it was very consistent in that way, man. And the curve really helped in balancing things out. So I would say, yeah. But I would say don't worry about the curve because it's like complex stuff, but it's not something you have to worry about.
Yes, but curves are important. Like curves are very important.
I don't, yeah, I would disagree and say you don't like worry about the curve because both they do it based on like student performance and how hard the test is, and that's not for you to worry about. You just worry about prepping the best. And I would say don't really take the curve. And I remember taking the curve into consideration when giving the ACT because I thought that an or a bishi pool considered for it, it will be easier to get a better score, but no, that's not the case. And so I would say don't take the curve into consideration when choosing between SAT and ACT. Instead, consider section key material cover for it. Like if you're comfortable with like the SAT math section or the ACT math section more, I like that SAT they cover fewer topics, ACT they cover more topics, but I knew those topics. And so yeah, the ACT maths are harder than these SAT ones, but they're more direct. So I like that. And by harder, I mean you can still answer. It's like not Bangladesh level hard. So it's like it's manageable level hard. And for both of them, there's like topics, at least for me, both of them, there was topics just school and I had to learn them from the internet, but that's fine. Like I got a 35, it's fine. If that's you, don't panic. I panic. I was like, I'll let the I didn't follow a book. So just, when I saw a question, I searched it up on the internet and from the cheat sheets, and literally I made my own math notes. And now like when prepping for a SAT course, I realized that there are books that have that material in it. So like if you use the right books, or you can take it from books too if you want. but you can do it without books too. And just getting the topics from the internet. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess I lose. So should we start the Q&A then?
Yeah. So guys, feel free to type in your questions. You guys can unmute and ask your question, whatever you feel comfortable with. Oh, wait, somebody is in the waiting room.
Want to unmute, then just raise your hand, okay? You were saying something?
Me?
Yeah.
No. Over here, I'm seeing Ahnaf to everyone in the waiting room. Like your messages are going to the people in the yeah. Ilhamu Azam, go ahead, unmute. Okay, yeah.
আসসালামু আলাইকুম আপু এবং
Walaikum
ভাইয়া। আমার একটা কোয়েশ্চেন ছিল, সেই কোয়েশ্চেনটা হচ্ছে যে কেউ যদি এসএটি এবং এসএটি একই সাথে দিতে চায়, যেমন আপনি বলেন ম্যাথ সেকশন, রিডিং সেকশন, রাইটিং সেকশন এবং সায়েন্স সেকশন আছে, তো সেই ক্ষেত্রে আপু আমাদের এসএটি রিডিং এর জন্য যদি আমি অনেক রিসার্চ পেপার বা অনেক সায়েন্স রিলেটেড কোনো কিছু পড়ি, সেই ক্ষেত্রে এসএটি রিডিং এ হেল্প করছে, এসএটির ক্ষেত্রে হেল্প করছে আমার। এখন আহ আমি যদি দুইটাতেই ভালো করতে চাই, আমার আমার কি সম্ভব? এবং আহ, মানে এটাই আমি জানতে চাচ্ছিলাম আর কি। আর এসএটির জন্য মানে কতটুকু পড়া লাগে, এসএটির চেয়ে বেশি কিনা কম? বললেন এটা ইজি, কিন্তু আসলে কেমন যেন লাগতেছে, মনে হচ্ছে যে পানির মধ্যে ইজি। থ্যাংক ইউ।
Okay, I'll start it off and say that if you want to give to me duita is SAT and ACT don't do this. Okay, don't do this. Choose SAT or ACT and then prep. I would say on it easy to shift from like SAT to ACT or ACT to SAT because both of them are similar tests. So shift quite easy. So if you want to shift, but stay in one because like I shifted from SAT to ACT and I would say both of them have a very different they don't have that different, but they have different SAT taking test taking strategies. It's like to me O level and O level, like if you know, there's Edexcel and Cambridge. So there's two different same tests, but two different things, and they make the test in different ways. So it's like you might know the material, tomorrow like knowledge, but then there's a different like way they give the questions. There's a different strategy. There's like a different format to the questions, and getting adjusted to that is one of the biggest ways you can improve your score. So I would say 32 you can get a score based on knowledge and hardcore knowledge, but after 32, at least in my opinion, tomorrow you have to take practice papers. You have to be adjusted to the format of the test. So when you're so that's why you should focus on one test. And I would say for ACT there are specific strategies. For SAT there are specific strategies. Kipabe is section to korba. Kipabe on a section to korba. And so it's like you should focus only on one, I would say. But it's easy to transfer from one test to another. But don't give both. To me, duita dile, like for admissions officers do not care. Like they do not care. They straight up don't care. Really to them, like a SAT, I would say, I would just give off this answer. A lot of people are like, oh, a lot of people think that if you get a really great SAT score, it will, or ACT score, it will really boost your application. To me, it's like the baseline thing you need to be considered for like an applicant in like, at least I would say like for Harvard, for MIT, it's like, it's not very, like, don't focus so much on getting a very, very great score. Focus on extracurriculars. Like if you see you're getting a 34, like don't, and you have 2 months time, focus on getting better extracurriculars. Don't get a 36 because to them, it doesn't matter much. Like really, it doesn't matter much. And so focus on extracurriculars because those are more important. That will make you a unique applicant. But like literally a lot of people get 36, a lot of people get 34. It doesn't really matter to them. It's like a little, oh, okay, he got a 36. That's nice, but it's like not very impressive to them. You can impress them more through your extracurriculars or essays or other parts of your application. So even though I know it's like Bengali culture to pick upon like, oh, I got a 93, he got a 96, I want a 96. It really doesn't matter. As long as you got an A star, be happy, alhamdulillah. And I remember being upset, like my O-level grades weren't the best compared to like everybody in Bangladesh. And like, I know I disappointed a lot of people with my O-level grades, but hey, I like the place where I ended up. So, and the other people did not end up where I am. And I'm like, alhamdulillah, but just an example to help you out there. And but I know you're like parents, especially, they focus on that. So yeah, just trying to ignore the thing. Okay, and then I think Naimul has been raising his hand for a long. Oh, did I miss any part of your question? Was there any part of
Someone
the
else
question?
wants to raise his hand, so I'm going to unmute him.
Yeah.
Ilhamul Azam, you want to say something? Hello.
Okay. I think he I think he raised his hand by mistake or something, but if he does have a
No,
question, he can raise it again. All right. So
totally.
I realized there's another point of Ilhamul. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Question je konta prepare for the easier, and I would say both of them are equally hard. Like really, none of it depends on you, but I don't think actor. I think for me for the ACT, the only sections I studied for were ACT English and math, jotutuk like formula gula, and the topics gula cover na gula jana. And the ACT reading and science section, it's just practice and knowing strategies and knowing how to implement those strategies. To me, the last two sections were practice. Like for I would analyze my mistakes. I mean, can I mistake the course? Amar weakness ase and like in this type of passage. But it's to me for ACT, the last two sections, like kono quara material children, it was just practice for me. And the way to improve, I improved my score just by practicing and learning from my mistakes. So I didn't read any books. I use strategies, strategy to use for lamar bishi palo, and I get a better score. But there was no quara. I would say for ACT, just section or juna fourth is the ACT English, but it's like you just use a cheat sheet, so it was very manageable. Like it's very, to me it was a lot about practice to do well instead of studying something. Like I didn't have to or it's really, I don't know about but for me, no, you don't really have to. It's really about practice.
True.
And for both, you're gonna have to practice, and you will have to give time for both. I don't think for naturally, like if you're a person who's naturally better in like science and you naturally do better in the science section, then
like you.
hey, then the ACT is easier for you. You have to study less for it. And for me, I knew that the SAT reading section really scared me personally because the passages were really hard. So Amar Mono I would have to spend a lot more time improving that section, where ACT passage easier locks in. And I knew if I just manage the time thing, if I can help, if I can manage time management, it will be I'll be able to do the ACT section. To me, the hardest part of ACT was time management, and I would tell you guys to not look at it lightly. So basically, I'll just say for the ACT reading section, I mean passage for the science section, I never read the passage. I only read the question and then passage to them. And so for the science section, it would be like about quantum physics. I would always see the graphs and I'll see like the diagrams and then passage it. Like I would just take it from the passage. And so for the science section, never first read the passage. And even when answering the question, just take the line you see from the passage that you need. And there's like different strategies for different science passages. There's another section where you shortly have to read the three conclusions. But I'll guide the person who needs help when it comes. But yeah, I would say there's specific strategies in ACT that you need. And if you have those, I think Amar, the first fear I had with ACT was just the time. I was like, Allah, I'm reading the passage too. And then I realized you're not supposed to read the passages. Like you're reading stuff that you don't need. For like the English section, I only read the lines that are underlined. And if you need the upper sentence, you with like practice, you can understand line if you need the line above it. So it's like really with practice, amar upper line to naki. And so, but for like ACT English and for reading, you don't really read the passage. Like you can't read because you don't have that much time. So you only read as much as you need to. And so I would say that. Okay, and then Charmila had a question. She's raising her hand.
Assalamu alaikum, Apu.
Hi, how are you doing?
Well, I'm doing great. I'm asking on behalf of my friend, being a student of humanities, will that be okay to give ACT?
I would say yes, but I would say science section to core. The science section is mostly tomar porte hobe na amar. I never studied for it, but there is like one or two like, and each there if there's 6 questions in a passage, one question is like science related. So, but they ask very basic science questions. So I would say if you have like a general well knowledge of science, then you can do it. Like they ask like physics and gravity and you act a basic question after. And so it's like a lot of them are common sense. Low-key common sense. So I would say section to core that could see if you can manage those questions. For me, like one section it had there's like 1 or 2 very hard questions, and so those like even I struggled on, and I didn't realize it. You know, oh, passage I have to use like science, and I didn't even realize that because I was like, oh, to passage after. And so there's like 1 or 2 questions that after most likely, but yeah, I would say most people they skip questions in science, and you skip questions in science because there's so little time, and especially if you're like aiming for a 34, you could just like skip one or like because some questions will take more time, and it's better to skip them and then do the rest questions. And so in that way, she could just skip them. Because I know that was like one of my last ditch strategies, because it's not like I think you can give like 30 seconds per question. At least that's what I did. And so you skip if you can't answer in 30 seconds. So I would say let her give the test and decide for herself. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Ilham came back with another device, so let's see if he can unmute this time.
Okay. Hello, hello, hello. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Okay. So, hi. Firstly, I'm on antidepressant, so if I say something absurd, then see with commercial production. Okay. Moving on to my questions. I'm a student from Bangla version, so now when I saw Siam Bhai's video, I was broken. Now it comes to me that if we think about English speaking or the proficiency in English, I think I'm no less than a student who comes from English version. So then the biggest fear I have cleared, right? So now what's the major differences apart from the mentioned the quality of the curriculum? Is that going to make a great impact on my selection?
Go ahead.
So basically হইতেছে যে in my opinion, like it's not an opinion to be honest, like এটা মানে it's an observation from previous trends and everything যে like at the time of admissions it does not really matter because like that's the whole point of the holistic system. Like they consider you based on the context of your school, your curriculum. That's the point. And number 2 is about the recognition. তুমি যদি গত 5 বছরের 10 বছরের হিসাব করো তাহলে হাজার হাজার মানুষজন এনসিটিভি থেকে ইউএস ইউনিস গুলাতে যাইতেছে এন্ড মানে অ্যাপ্লাই করতেছে এন্ড অনেকে পাচ্ছেও। সো লাইক স্পেশালি ইফ ইউ কনসিডার দ্য টি20s, লাইক ইংলিশ মিডিয়ামের চেয়ে বা আইবির চেয়ে কিন্তু বাংলাদেশ থেকে এনসিটিভি থেকেই মানুষজন বেশি যায়। সো মানে if you're worried about the recognition then you should not be. হ্যাঁ, এখন like there are some advantages, like I don't know if MIT does this, but like at my uni I'm getting around like 15 to 20 credits because of my A-level grades, but like do they do this at MIT?
I don't get as much credits at MIT. No.
Yeah, like my uni is pretty bad, so yeah, that's probably it. So yeah. Okay, someone asked where did I got in. I'm not gonna reveal now. Okay, so the thing is ওইটার পরে advantages আছে, like you're gonna get credit and all this stuff, but admissions এর সময় significant কোনো advantage নেই. Like sometimes yes, sometimes like if you're Bangla medium, like not Bangla version, then English proficiency test দেওয়া লাগবে, but English medium এ পড়লে বা English version এ পড়লে অনেক সময় proficiency test লাগে না. So ওইটা ছাড়া advantage নেই.
Okay, I would start off with like the perspective that Ahnaf brought up to your to whatever environment or your situation is, like to English medium hope or Bangla medium hope, there is pros and cons to every situation. For English medium, I would list a number of cons, and for Bangla medium, I'll list a number of pros and a number of cons. But I would say you can't really control your situation because it really doesn't depend on you. So I would say make the best out of your situation, and from your situation, there are very good things. So portray those in your application. There's a lot of experiences that Bangla medium students, or a lot of struggles that Bangla medium students go through. You can list those in your, you can show those in your application that we can. So they are a good sides, and take advantage of those good sides or those advantages that you have. I would say for someone, I'll just give my example here. I studied earth science, and this was a very minority subject. Nobody from the earth science Olympiad ever got into Harvard or MIT. And for me, it was like, I know that this is not going to be enough to get into MIT or Harvard. And to me, it was like, it's Olympiad, but it's like it's not worth much. But later on, I realized that it's valuable because it's unique.
Exactly.
And so your application is valuable, it's unique, because not everybody does it through Bangla medium. And so your journey is unique, and universities like that. If you can portray that in your application nicely, universities love that, because they don't want everybody from the same background. You're like, acha, the English medium students get in. It's a fresh air when they see somebody from a different background, but with as high goals, as high aspirations. When they see somebody with less opportunities, but they're taking the most out of the opportunities they have, to them that's gold. They see how much advantage you take of the opportunities that you have. They try not to focus on the opportunities you don't have, because I would say, especially like in America, a very big up down is rich families. They can have more opportunities. They have very impressive opportunities that they can get because they're able to afford it. Whereas people from low income backgrounds, they can't. And I could name a number of programs that I had to say no to because I could not afford the fee. And I would say, don't feel bad about it, because the universities don't, if you explain, they don't care. They understand your situation. They don't care about the opportunities that you didn't pursue because you didn't have the opportunity. They like care about how well you took advantage of the opportunities you had. And I would say, like, at least for my case, I tried making opportunities for my own self, and they love that. And so I would say do that. Like, don't, instead of feeling hopeless, which I know is very hard to do in some situations, be as optimistic as you can and make the best out of your situation. And that's a thing. And then I think you also, your question was also attached to how much does curriculum depend on how well you do on the tests like SAT or ACT. And again, I don't know, you have to like take the test for yourself and see which one you like, because everyone has a different study background. And so they have different levels of initial preparation for SAT or ACT. So I would say give the test, see which one you like more, see which one you can improve more on. And yeah, so based on that, it depends from person to person. So yeah, but I would say okay, I'll just finish up. I'm carrying off so much, but it really depends. A lot of like how well you do in like the admissions process depends on how much you want it. So I would see a lot of people who have a lot of things, but they don't really care. They don't really care to take the opportunities. It really depends on how much you want it and how much preparation you're going to give to it. Because like as for me, for ACT or whenever studying, I knew that I'm not the brightest person. So I knew that Amar on it. Ahnaf, don't say anything. Okay. But basically, I feel very dumb at times because Amar kacha onek basic concept buchina at the first time, second time. I ask the dumbest questions to my teachers, and my teachers are like, "Really? But you asked this question? Hello?" And so Amar kacha, sometimes it takes a lot of time for me to understand the concept. So, but to me, I knew that Amar just beshi shomai dite hobe to understand this, and I was willing to give the extra time to understand this. There's I would say in my time, I met a lot of people that are like, I would say to me, naturally brilliant one hoise. And for me, ACT was about, I'm koto beshi practice kori, I will improve that much. To me, and I watched a video on like a girl who gave ACT who got a perfect score, and she was like, the dumbest person can give ACT. And I was so happy when I heard that, because I felt dumb. And because it's about strategy, and it's about like, we'll see, like there's not really much to memorize. It's about practicing, you know. And so yeah, some people effortlessly get like a 34, but I would say that was not my case. I mean, like I practiced a lot, and so I was really happy. You can make a change with like effort and by studying and by giving time. And to me, that was very important.
Okay, so Ilham, do you have to say something?
Yep. Actually, when I saw Siambhai's video, he was actually talking about the vocabulary or the opportunities or the environment that English version student gets, as he's always speaking with English or something. So my problem is I'm quite good at English and I'm quite good at speaking English than the other students who are actually speaking in English version. So I have cleared my obstacles, right? So what is my obstacles to get selected?
Okay, so number one হচ্ছে obstacle নাই, and দ্বিতীয় কথাটা হচ্ছে about the environment thing. It has nothing to do with curriculum, to be honest. It has to do with like how resourceful the school is. So let's say তুমি যদি হচ্ছে একটা মানে ইংলিশ মিডিয়াম যদি ধরো, তাহলে হচ্ছে if you go to a, like ইংলিশ মিডিয়াম স্কুল তো অভাব নাই বাংলাদেশে। সো মনে করো তুমি একটা ধরো কত ইংলিশ মিডিয়ামে তো আছে, এটা র্যান্ডম একটা ইংলিশ মিডিয়ামে, জেনারিক একটা ইংলিশ মিডিয়ামে গেলেও যা, আবার মনে করো এনসিটিভি স্কুলে ধরো গ্রামের একটা এনসিটিভি স্কুল, ওইখানে গেলেও তার রিসোর্স যেখানে কম, সেখানে কিন্তু তুমি একটা মানে অত ভালো এনভায়রনমেন্ট এমনিতেও পাবো না। হাউএভার তুমি যদি লাইক একটা ভালো রিসোর্সফুল স্কুলের কথা চিন্তা করো, লেটস সে আধুনিক ক্যান্টনমেন্ট কলেজ বা ভিকারুননিসা বা নটরডেম কলেজ, সো ওদের কিন্তু রিসোর্স আছে ভালো। আবার সেম ইংলিশ মিডিয়ামে, লাইক ইংলিশ মিডিয়ামে তোমরা দেখতেছো স্কলাস্টিকার কথা বা অক্সফোর্ড ইন্টারন্যাশনালের কথা, ভালোগুলাকে দেখতেছো, বাট হচ্ছে যে এনভায়রনমেন্ট জিনিসটা ম্যাটার করে না। আমার ইট ডিপেন্ডস মোর অন যে স্কুলগুলোর রিসোর্সেস গুলো কেমন। ইট হ্যাজ নাথিং টু ডু উইথ কারিকুলাম। So
Okay.
there are resourceful and good schools in both NCTV and English medium. So
Yeah, I would say
about মানে speaking এর জিনিসটা যে if you're better than the English version peers of yourself, then that's good, that's very good. So ঝামেলা নাই তো।
yeah, so I would say first of all I will bring up the difference. I would say for my school, Oxford, in Oxford, so if economic but it never had that really. I would say so to like at least আমার কাছে যে reputation আসতো যে it's a অনেক Mora school, and I would agree it's a Mora school, and so অনেকে surprised হয়, majority of the people surprised হয় যে of my successes knowing আমি Oxford থেকে আসছি, because like literally it's a very known concept that Oxford student can Oxford for it. And so it's I heard this a lot of times, and so like that I'm religiously very strong, or that like academically I have successes Oxford ticket for it. People are like, what the how? Like, because most people, like at least Amar Jonno, all my friends left Oxford because their parents did not like Oxford anymore. So I kept on losing people. And to me, it was like a dead environment. And I've all my opportunities, most of them, I got them by myself. So I would say I paved my own path in a way. Allah did everything, but yeah. So basically, Oxford has very less credit in what I did. So I would say don't focus on your medium, and so medium or the option your school provides, because you can find outside your thing. And a lot, all my extracurriculars are, like majority of my extracurriculars are outside Oxford. I would say that I had supportive teachers, which I'm really grateful for, but I've seen people without supportive teachers who've done well. And so I would say don't focus on what you don't have, focus on what you have, because especially when you're like really down, you're gonna die if you like focus on what you don't have. Don't focus on what you don't have, because that is not an attitude nobody likes, and that's not, even though it's hard not to have that attitude, don't have it. You need an optimistic attitude, even though it's really hard and it seems that there is nothing optimistic about your world, but there's always something that you can lose. And so it's always great to have an optimistic attitude. And then I would say the second point about it's very important to be fluent in English when you're applying to an English medium school. Sorry, not in, like a USA university, because the main language there is English. And when you're writing an application, it's communication. So you want to communicate yourself to the admissions office. And that is one of the most important parts of the application, is communicating yourself to them, because it's like you have to, it's all on like paper. So you have to make sure you're portrayed well on paper. And for that, you do need English. And I would say for international admissions, one of the main things, but you're not struggling with this, entire Bangladesh is struggling with this, entire international community is struggling with this. So you're not alone in this, is portraying yourself in a way that the US admissions community will understand you in the best possible light. So and you said yourself that you think your English is better than, you think you have an advantage in English. So this is only a pro for you. And I would say when I visited MIT, when I visited international universities, there's people with broken English. They still got accepted to MIT. They're doing MIT confidently. The president of MIT, Rafael, he's from Venezuela. my parents cannot understand his English because he has such a thick accent, but he's fluent in English. But so I would say, don't let that take you down. Make that a bonus point, because the fact that you don't have English as your first language, there's pros, because you have another language as your first language. You have a different view of the world, because simply because another language is your first language, that changes your view on the world in ways. And so there's so many ways to see it that are not negatively. And if you are stuck on the negative way of aspects, then you can't really help it in your application. You can't really show the positive ways. So yeah.
So the main thing is to utilize my sources that are around me, right?
Exactly.
Make
Yeah,
the
And
best
what
of it.
I'm gonna add to this is that do chemistry.
what? I didn't get it.
In addition to using your opportunities, do chemistry.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I did have another question about recommendation letters. So I come from a government school, Chattogram Collegiate School. So if so the recommendation letters are actually important. So if I tell my teachers about just writing me a recommendation letter as I wanna just apply to the US university, so they're just gonna say that what the hell? What is actually a recommendation letter? How am I gonna write it to you? So it's a great obstacle, right?
এক্ষেত্রে দুইটা জিনিস হইতে পারে, সেটা হচ্ছে যে লাইক ইফ দে আর নট উইলিং টু রাইট ইট ফর ইউ, দেন ওদেরকে জিজ্ঞেস করবো যে ওকে, আই মিন একটা ডিসক্লেমার দিই, সেটা হচ্ছে যে ইটস নট এন এথিক্যাল প্র্যাকটিস, বাট হচ্ছে লাইক বাংলাদেশ যেহেতু, সো অনেক টিচাররা হচ্ছে কোঅপারেট করে না, সো এটা করতে হয়। সেটা হচ্ছে যে দে মাইট আস্ক ইউ যে তুমি লিখে নিয়ে আসো, আমি সাইন করে দিব, এইটা অনেক সময় বলতে পারে। ইটস অ্যান আনএথিক্যাল প্র্যাকটিস, বাট এটা বলতে পারে। সো ইন দ্যাট কেস ওইটা করা লাগতে পারে তোমাকে।
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wanna add something?
I want to say, for my case, one one of my, there's like two top recommenders in my schools. Recommendation letters net, but I took two of my recommendations from new teachers because I felt like they knew about me better. And so one of my teachers, she's completely new, she knows nothing about like US admissions. So I had to give her examples of recommendation letters, and I was with her through the entire process because she was like, I'm clueless. And so what we discussed, what she thinks is best about me, what points she wants to put in, and I helped her glue the recommendation letter together. And so, so she knows everything that's in the recommendation letter. She approves of everything in the recommendation letter, but it was like a co-signed process where both of us did it together and to help with it. So there's like points that you need in a recommendation letter. And so like in Bangladesh, I think they start with, so her name is Rudiba, she's in class 10, she goes to Oxford International School, she's a good girl, stuff like that. But like those are useless. And so they wouldn't know that unless you tell them. And so I had to kind of coach my teachers. So you need very well communication. And I would say I was lucky, and like I know people who weren't lucky and still they got accepted to great places, but I was lucky, and I'm our counselor. He was clueless, but he trusted me, and he was like, Acha, we'll do it the way you recommend. Acha, I don't really think, I think you should mention negative sides about you on the recommendation letter to make it more realistic. I was like, sir, I don't think we should do that. Sorry. And then I gave like evidence of why you shouldn't do that, and he trusted me. He was like, gotcha, then we'll just focus on your grade points. That's great. And so, but I would say for my sister's case, she had a counselor who low-key hated her and made her cry. Like it was a tough spot, but that does not mean that you can get into a good university if you don't have like proper like even if it's not smooth sailing. So I would say, yeah. So I would say always have hope in that way, and I know that so some people it might seem that the process was very easy for the people who got into great places, or they didn't really have struggles, because we only portray the positive sides or the university we got into, but there are struggles behind it. And so if you're struggling, you're not alone. And yeah.
Okay, so you want me to be optimistic in everything, right?
Of course.
I try to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a major thing I found in people in successful places, is that they try to make the best out of the situation, because there's really nothing else you can do about it. And also like not hanging up on the bad sides of a situation or forgiving people when it goes wrong, or letting go of negative aspects. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. This question's answer is going to be yes or no, actually. So another question: when I will be applying with all the when I will be applying to US universities with all the things, if I inbox Saad Bhai or whatever the brothers I have in Bangladesh Beyond Border, will they help me with it?
So I would say this is not a yes or no, and expecting a yes or no is not fair.
Yep.
Because these are people, and somebody helping you is a privilege. Nobody
Yep.
owes
Yep.
you help in that way, because they're all very busy. They're all going through their own struggles. And so when they're helping you, like I would say, I never reached out to a person in Bangladesh Beyond Borders, and my main resource was the internet. I searched up everything, and it was very frustrating at times, but I did not want to disturb another person when I knew আমি যদি একটু বেশি সময় দেই আমি internet থেকে পাবো, and I knew যে internet থেকে পাওয়া, like that process, the cost of process of reading every article, it will only benefit me because it helps me elevate, have more information and know which information to trust. So it's like, but it's like, it's no, there's no issue in reaching out for help. If you need help, go reach out to somebody, because I did as well. I asked my teachers, I asked like people, but yeah, but don't expect them to help you, because
Okay.
really what they're doing is from a nice place, and it's not like it's not something that's compulsory for them to help a person who needs help. Like, it's really their choice.
Oh, okay.
সাথে
Okay,
একটা
thank.
হচ্ছে, if you want help from someone, just be polite. Like
Yeah.
inbox থেকে উল্টাপাল্টা কিছু বললো না। So
I would,
No,
yeah, I would say
obviously.
to everybody, to anybody, like whenever you're approaching a stranger, yeah, introduce for like greetings, introduce yourself, and then state your purpose. Don't say hi and then expect them to respond. I never respond to hi's. Literally, I never respond to hi's. If you have a question, then you will get a response. If you don't have a question and you just say hi, I will not respond, because there's so many people saying hi. I don't know if you have a question. I don't know if you just want to be friends. I don't know your intent when you just say hi. So I would say don't just say hi. Say, introduce yourself, say what purpose you're knocking me for, and you'll get a reply then.
and I'm
Okay.
gonna add this যে রিসেন্টলি অনেক মানুষ একটা ছেলে এরকম করছে যে আসসালামু আলাইকুম ভাইয়া প্রথমে বলছে, সো ডেফিনেটলি আমি ওটার রিপ্লাই দিব না, বাট দেন আরেকটা মেসেজ দিছে যে ভাইয়া আর ইউ দেয়ার, লাইক ডোন্ট ডু দ্যাট প্লিজ।
Yeah, and don't be pushy.
Just stick to the question. Right? Just stick to the question. You just want us to be.
Yeah.
Okay,
Did
thank you for
this-
listening.
Again,
Okay,
I hope
okay,
we
please
helped
carry
you
on.
out. I hope we helped you out. You're obviously in a very tough place, and I hope it works out for you. But yeah, does anybody else have any ACT related questions? And then maybe you could go on to other non-ACT related questions, ACT or SAT.
Okay, thank you for listening. That was clarifying.
Oh, acha. So there was a question in the chat: because of online classes, it's difficult to interact with teachers personally. And so that was, I had to do everything online. And this was really annoying to me because I never spoke to a teacher online, and I don't like typing. I don't like texting, sorry. But so basically a lot of Google calls. So my counselor especially, we did a lot of Zoom meetings. And so ওইভাবে অনেকটা করা হয়েছে. I phoned a lot of teachers and we talked like that. Like, we had many interviews that way. So ওইভাবে it was basically through like Google Meets. আমি লিঙ্কটা send করছি, like to make it as easy as possible for them, because for them it's not easy either, especially when they're above generation. To them it's harder. This online situation is harder to them. And so to me, it was like making it as easy as possible. So I sent them the resources, I explained them the resources, and I did it all through phone calls, through Google Meets. I shared my screen and showed them, hey, yeah, so it was like that. Oh, and for recommendation letters, I did it like 3 months in advance for them, because especially for I would say American universities, or the American school teachers, they have an experience of writing recommendation letters, but Bangladesh, a lot of Bangladesh teachers don't, and it's not their fault. And so like helping them through the process and I felt like I was really annoying and I wanted to be the least annoying as possible. But really it's like when you're trying to get something as good as possible, you have to be a bit persistent. And then you also say sorry along the entire way. And like, I'm sorry for disturbing you today, but yeah, today was the day we're gonna finalize this. And so so one of my recommenders was like the procrastinator of his lifetime. And so we mostly completed the recommendation letter a month before, but he had some final touches he had to do. And so I thought we would submit it a month before, and that's great, less stress for both me and him. But wait, 1 month, both like reminding him every week. First I reminded him like every other day, but then I was like, gosh, I'll give him a week. And then he ended up submitting the recommendation letter the day before. And so yeah, so there's going to be situations like that. So it's very stressful, but yeah, try being the least, like don't try taking it out on your teachers because really they're busy too. And yeah, try being nice about the entire situation, because the biggest thing that you need when you're communicating with your recommendators is be nice and polite, because they're doing you a big favor. Okay, I would read out a question. I think there would be 4 questions. Actually, if there's questions that I missed, type it in. So it's, would you suggest the name of a few websites which are obliging for a beginner who is shortlisting university? Moreover, what is the minimum number of colleges should we apply? I am talking about US universities only. So this is way off topic, but I would say this really depends on you. I don't know a few webs. I think Ahnaf can help you with this, but I just took it from a lot of websites, because I would say that different universities have different information. A lot of them are not true, or they're backdated, or they're for all the US students, but you don't know that because they don't mention it anywhere. A lot of things are like from 2001, but then, or just one word correct course at like 2021 leka on the updated thing. So like there are different things. I think Ahnaf can help you with this. But for the number of, it depends on you. I see a lot of people doing 21, a lot of people doing 10. I would say it depends on you, your preparation, the amount of time you have to prepare. America, like one application was a lot of work. But I was preparing on, I think, 17 universities. And to me, this was a good spot because I had a lot of, what's it called, higher tier universities. I had a lot of reach universities like that have very low acceptances. And that's why I had a longer list, because 10-ish of my universities were reach universities. And for reasons but because when you have a lot of reach, you still need middle tier and safety universities. And I would say there's no thing as safety universities for at least international students. They're all middle tier because you have to pay, but going off topic. But basically it really depends on you. I've known people who've done 8. Yeah, I've known people who've done more. And so it depends. And there's like also a cost if you don't get fee waiver. If you get a fee waiver, you don't really have to worry about how many. But I would say a lot of people are on that, but they don't really care about the content or the quality of their application. They're like, acha, it is true that the more you apply to, your chances kind of increase, but only if they're of the same high quality. So what happens when you give a lot of applications, you spend less time on each, and this can reduce the quality of your application because you have to spend as much time on their supplemental essays. They understand if you're rushing it. You can obviously copy paste your from one supplemental essay to another. Like I know I use the same topic. I edited essays for different word limits and to adhere to the topic. So it have to project, but you have to spend a lot of time on each application. And so you have to be willing to do that and have enough time for that. And that depends on the number of universities you should put on your list. Okay, are there any online tools for practicing ACT? Yes. So the ACT website, if you go there, they have 2 online practice tests. One is untimed and one is timed. It's in the ACT website. It's like in the ACT International website preparation, you'll find it there. So you can, you get that. And then also you can get a lot of ACT past papers from Crack ACT, it's a website. And so I downloaded a lot of question papers, solved a lot of question papers, and Prep Scholar. So I use Prep Scholar blog. They have a lot of like ACT strategies, hardest ACT questions. Where should I get ACT free tests from? And then Super TV. I forgot the name. Super Tutor TV. Super Tutor TV. I don't know. I'll link it below, but it's a YouTube channel. They have a blog, but like literally for the entire month of the ACT, that's all the videos I watched. Like I watched all her ACT videos, and to me it was really helpful. So it's like if you search on YouTube like how to get a perfect score or how to do well on the ACT, you will get a lot of videos, and I watched all of them. Like I watched all of them. There's like 2 girls that are like geniuses, and their videos were awesome, and they use their strategies, and their strategies are awesome, and they made me feel so much better about giving ACT. But I would say there's a lot of blogs, there's a lot of YouTube videos, and those are what I used. Oh, hi, Nawal. I just saw you. Did you just come in? Hi.
এতক্ষণ পরে আসলে হয় বিবিবিতে দেখতে হয় না
আমি ঘুম গেছিলাম আর কি I am very sleepy ঠিক আছে
I will list a few articles down in the comment section, and so yeah, for your consumptions. Yeah. Hey, hi, Nawal. You're trying to break my heart. Nawal. I thought you loved. I thought we had a good thing going.
We can't have that good thing going with this in mind. We can't have those differences and have this in mind.
এসিডি ভালো না এসিডি নাকি টাইম পাওয়া যায় না বাদ
I mean the smarter I think I would মানে এখন পর্যন্ত কি কেউ বলছে যে why not both? Has anyone said this?
Yeah. But don't do both. Don't do both. Please don't.
Okay, all right. Yes, interesting.
Okay.
আমি বলছিলাম
yes বললাই তো
মানে তোমরা দুইটা করতে পারো but like if you want to মানে if you want to drag yourself into the mud of like everything else going on like application যত stress আছে ওটাকে 10 গুণ ভাবে যদি করতে চাও then you're gonna do both of course
আচ্ছা সো একটু আগে যেটা হয়েছে একজন আমাকে জিজ্ঞেস করছে যে আমি কোন ইউনিটে পাইছি এন্ড হচ্ছে আমি লিখছি লিখছি UWU এন্ড সে আমাকে জিজ্ঞেস করছে যেটা ফুল ফর্ম কি
Like I'm like literally annoyed at you for hiding in university for this long. Like he's like such a tease in this. I'm like, no, stop.
Hey,
So
Ahnaf, you can just say so you can just be like University of Water.
It's a good university. Why not?
yes আসলে
Acha, so I gave one link of an AC.
যে হইতেছে এটা বলছো আমাকে লাইক তোমার পাবলিকলি এমবারাস করতেছি আই এম রিয়েলি সরি বাট হয়তো
Acha, so I gave a link for a math one from Super Tutor TV. I just gave the math one so you know about the Super Tutor TV channel. Like math is not like a very super important videos. She has other better great videos for ACT. So yeah. Wait, where's that girl? Oh, this girl was
আচ্ছা বলছি কি মিস করছি
You guys have to watch this video. I'm just sending her. Yeah, I think her name's Alexa Rain, and yeah, she really helps. Who's the other person? ACT's English. I think.
না
And literally, I'm getting these links by just searching like the internet. Like, so you guys can do it too. You like, it's not like some very goponio link. Yeah. Like I mean, literally on where I just get them, and after a while they come on your feed because YouTube knows you like this stuff. So I haven't. For that, I would give you a tip. So I had like 2 YouTube accounts. One is like for recreational and has like all my makeup videos, but the other one was like Borashana. So when I was prepping for ACT, I would search for ACT videos. And so then my Borashana YouTube one was all about like ACT prep stuff. And then like when college admissions, it was all about college admission stuff. And so in this way, you can like get a good feed of videos that you need without disrupting your normal feed of fun videos, which is in another YouTube account or YouTube page. You don't even have to open another account. It's like do one from Safari, from Google Chrome, and do another one from Firefox. এটা আমি করি।
আমি টেক বুমার, এগুলো বুঝি না, কিছুই বুঝি নাই। So
কেউ কি বুঝে
random
নাই?
that
কেউ কি
advice.
বুঝে নাই?
Oh, I'm pretty sure অনেকেই বুঝে নেয় because মানে I think like what Rudiba was trying to say is I guess you can make different playlists.
No.
So like তাহলে কি বলছিস?
So basically and like when you go to YouTube on a new like on Firefox for the very first time, it's just generic videos like Abijabi videos, nothing you know about. But then like once you start like searching for ACT math stuff, then in your like, you know, the For You section, like there's all the videos of ACT math. There's a lot of videos of ACT math because the algorithm knows that you watch ACT math and you like ACT. So your algorithm is full of ACT prep stuff. And so that's great. So and the more you click on those, the more videos they will give on ACT. And then like next month, you're done with ACT. You don't care to me when you start searching about college prep or just college prepper video that could be on your screen or on the side. And so in that way, you can like, you get YouTube is full of resources for you or like, because the algorithm knows you like college prep videos, you like ACT prep videos. But what happens that when you also like search for like, if you were really into cars and you search cars, and if you watch more car videos than ACT videos, the more ACT prep video ashbana. And so you don't get any videos like that. And so I get distracted when I see a video I want to watch, like let's say I really like cute animals and there's a cute animal video and an ACT video, I'm cute animals video to dekho. And so that's why
that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Rudiba, no one's going to watch ACT videos. I don't think people are that lifeless.
And so
I would choose a cat video over an ACT.
And so I have like on Firefox, I only watch cute cat videos, and that feed is recreational. It's like for entertainment only. My Firefox YouTube, and the YouTube I have on Google Chrome is my study YouTube. So it only has informational videos about ACT, college prep. Now it's about exercise, but you get it. So you can use the algorithm for your benefit. Like basically everybody's Facebook feed is different. If somebody really likes makeup and she watches makeup videos, her feed is going to be about makeup. If you really like food, your feed is going to be of food. If you like food and like cars, it's going to be food and cars. So you can control what you have on your feed that way. And yeah, that's how you can get information. Like in my Facebook feed, I get like a lot of extracurricular activities. I'm a search right now, and then I just share them. So in this way you can
কোন একটা ডিভাইসে সার্চ করছিল বাংলা ওয়াজ বাই সামথিং কিছু, আমার পিসির মধ্যে সব হইতেছে ওয়াজের ভিডিও খালি।
Yeah, so that's why I don't let like my parents on like on like Safari or my Firefox YouTube, because if they like, my mom really likes cooking videos and I don't want cooking videos on my algorithm. Like no. Unless it's cake.
Mom handful. Yeah, so কি কিউট ছিল জিনিসটা। আচ্ছা একজন জিজ্ঞেস করছে why people don't go to Australia, টাকা নাই। Right.
I was gonna say যে টাকা নাই। Also like random, I will just randomly, because আমি হঠাৎ করে আসছি, I'm just gonna randomly give sad advice that worked for me.
Yeah.
One, don't do textbooks. Hey, textbooks niye pag like do not like go crazy over textbooks. Hey, everyone asks me like, Allah apo eta jonno ki textbook, eta jonno ki textbook. I'm like, just follow. If you want to follow a textbook, just follow one or two textbooks. Don't overdo textbooks. Why do we do that? Why do we say this? It's because Khan Academy has been a very good resource when it comes to like doing good in SAT, in terms of its exercises, in terms of the paragraphs that it provides, in terms of the kind of like sums it provides, right? So as soon as you like, তুমি যদি Khan Academy তে regularly at least প্রতিদিন half an hour করে তুমি করো, right? Half an hour করে তুমি prep now. That itself is very standard prep. If you want to do even more, then that would include like practice test kora for half an hour and watching the videos related to it. So like, ওদের Saturday English এর কিছু জিনিস নিয়ে there are like particular videos on specific stuff. So like subject verb agreement and hand them. When it comes to math, they have specific videos that you could watch where they break down certain problems and show you methodologies to solve. So ওগুলা দেখতে পারো. That's one resource I would say helps. Arekta, I don't know to what extent people know about this, but there's something called cracksat.net. I mean, so cracksat.net e kamer din hocche the useful thing is they group questions. So group questions bolte what they do is Englisher কিছু প্যাসেজ মানে কিছু টাইপের প্যাসেজ থাকে, so you have history passages, you have art passages, you have science passages, you have ওই যে ফাউন্ডিং পেপার ওই যে ফ্র্যাঙ্কলিন ডি রুজভেল্টের স্পিচ টিচ থাকে, এসব আলাদা জিনিস। হ্যাঁ, so different people have different types of problems, right? Problems বলতে I particularly and most people typically struggle with US founding documents যে আচ্ছা স্পিচে অনেক প্যারা খায় because the language is very convoluted. So if you want to fix those problems, what do? You do more of these questions, right? Egula question to beshi beshi kore korba. So Cracksat, if you go there, তুমি ওখানে different এরকম PDFs পাবা with these links যেখানে একই টাইপের question বারবার দিতে থাকে, and ওখানে like you have like different answers for them. So that's one other resource you would do. That's that. Vocabulary নিয়ম হচ্ছে at least for me like মানে one, there's a place called vocabulary.com. Where is this? Vocabulary.com. Vocabulary.com, you can like, there are like hit lists, Saturday 1,000 word hit list, say you have 3,000 word hit list, you have 500 word hit lists. Practice vocabulary.com, okay, you can like do particular exercises, they have games even, so you can do those if you want to like improve in them, improve in vocabulary. But again, vocabulary ek mas age dhoro na if you're sad taile it's not going to work. Like trust me, that doesn't work. You have to work at least like 3 to 4 months, you know. Vocabulary age theke kaj korte hobe, vocabulary korte. If you want to learn more about SAT, join Cognita College Counseling course. We shall provide you with more.
এটা বললে হইছে আমার বিবি দিতে একটা জাত খাবো। সো
আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে, এটা
হইছে এই বলছি না যে মিউট করা,
মিউট দিবা। হ্যাঁ,
Changing the topic quickly and moving on to another topic. I would say how to. I would say for resources that you're gonna trust. So I would say, Jamon, I use a lot of personal videos. Like there's like a lot of YouTubers that are like beginner YouTubers, but they have very great advice. So like I would say, no offense to anybody, but like a high like. Okay, so like there's like Princeton Review, so oral YouTube video chart, but their videos are very generic, like basic advice there. But then there's videos from students that are 36 paisa or 35 paisa, and usually or YouTube channel to cool it because they have specific information to the and they have it and they want to share it. And that's why, or like they in that video they say them. So I get the best advice from those people. They give very specific, very helpful advice. Sometimes like and websites you will generally like the Princeton Review, their videos, or like normal coaching center videos, they will give you general advice. But if you want like advice on how to get a 36, like they will give advice for every level. But like there are videos like the people who give videos like specific, I would say like homemade cookies, they're kind of like homemade cookies. So the people with their is my logic very off? But so the people, so like the people who have like only 20K followers, but then they have very specific advice that is very relevant to you. They will give like advice for people who have like a 32 but really want to improve, but they have their own personal story. Amar Kasha, that is very inspiring because when I see somebody who had a very low score, but then they share about how they did better, to me that's very inspiring. And the techniques that they use, it's like they're very useful, I find. So a specific video gulapai, even for like how to get into Harvard, like the students that get into Harvard, the videos that they release specifically, those videos I find the most helpful. But I also like watch videos of Super Tutor TV and Prep Scholar. Those are not very okay. Wow, a lot of hand raises. But so those I really like those two. So it's like judge which contents you like. Like a lot of videos so I just watch another video. So trust which content you trust by yourself, and it depends from person to person on which content they use, because I like the content I use, you cannot use that. You can use different content and get to the same place. So don't make a very big deal. It's not something that's a very big deal either. Yeah, and it depends from person to person. Yeah, go ahead guys.
তোমাকে একজন জিজ্ঞেস করছে, how does it feel to ditch Harvard?
Um, um,
flex. Just like just
Next
shoot it.
I would say I would
আমার সবচেয়ে ইয়ে লাগছে বুঝছো ওই যে ওই দিন মনে আছে ভিডিও করার সময় যে কলম্বিয়া কত হিট দিছিল মনে নাই
I'm not good with memory. I'm learning from that one.
খেলি নাই কলম্বিয়া আল্লাহ
Allah. Also, like, আমি স্যাট নিয়ে কি জানি একটা অ্যাডভাইস দিতে গেছিলাম বাট আমি ভুলে গেছি মনে পড়ছে এক সেকেন্ড বলছি I will leave very soon. I will leave shortly. So একটু বলে দিই
না লিভ নিও না পার্টি তো নষ্ট হয়ে যাবে
Stay as much like we did our due. It's not due.
Acha, so Saturday, I think one thing people don't really understand is so difficult is time management. Like I feel like amra HSC bolo, amra just A levels bolo. We're used to getting that time to finish things, right?
A levels onek time.
And I don't know HSC. I you can call me out on it, but like at least there's still you have time to finish things, right? Saturday you will race, like at least in the English portion, you will race to finish things because তোমার হাতে সময় থাকবে না. Which is why like বাসায় practice test করা and even the simplest thing like learning how to bubble very quickly because তোমাকে তো bubble sheet দিয়ে দিবে, তোমাকে bubble করতে হবে. Even learning to do that and like having that practice is very important. So like one of the probably one of the simplest and best advice I can give you is start doing like full practice tests very early. Don't be like me and leave it up to the last second and just do 5 out of 8 practice tests. That does not work. Hey, that does not work. Yeah, I'm not the pasta kursi. I couldn't do the other 3 because late hoye gechilo. So I particularly would not suggest this. So age practice test shuru kora bhalo. So yeah, that almost always helps. I will promptly leave now. আমার এখন যেতে হবে
তার আগে একটা পার্সোনাল কোশ্চেন
হ্যাঁ বলো
প্র্যাকটিস টেস্টে কত পাইছিল লাস্ট লাইক বিফোর ইউ টুক ইওর সেট
1500 something. I don't remember. I started off with 1400. Highest one I 1540 পাইছিলাম। So আমি একটু দুঃখ পাইছি যে প্র্যাকটিসে যেটা পেয়েছি ওটা বিট করতে পারি না, ওটা সমান পাই না, ওটা একটু কম পাইছি। But then I was like,
doesn't really matter. You got into a great place.
কেমনে কইরা জানি হইতাছে আইভি লিগে ঢুকে পড়া আর কি সোজা কথা।
Does a good score compensate the lack of extracurricular? Not talking about No, not necessarily. Again, it's a very a lot of people এই যে জিজ্ঞেস করে যে আচ্ছা এটার জন্য কি এটা কম্পেনসেট হবে, এটার জন্য কি এটা কম্পেনসেট হবে। The best advice most people can give to you, right, is the fact like they can explain to you what the word holistic means and then just get into the discussion of how subjective US applications are. So US application is like when we say holistic, it means যে ওরা তোমার অ্যাপ্লিকেশনের প্রতিটা কোণা কোণা ওরা মানে দেখবে, শার্লক হোমসের মতো খুঁজবে, দেখে they will try to create a picture of it. And based on that picture they will try to see if like you're fit for that university, if that university is fit for you. Eখানে অনেক discussion হবে, these are very broad things, but short করে বললে they'll try to see whether that picture of you is like a nice picture, if you're a nice person based on that. তোমার like if you have a good SAT score, that still doesn't show যে তুমি যে ECA এর যে ল্যাকটা নাই, that's still a glaring flaw. And again, ECA ল্যাক বলতে কিন্তু like there's a lot of things কিন্তু ECA lack bolte, if you say lack of Olympiad medals, that is not a lack of ECA. That's just a very unrealistic expectation.
But I'm going to add something. If you like chemistry, then ECA lack with that. Chemistry not like ECA like সোজা কথা। Yes.
So এটা হচ্ছে একটা ব্যাপার যেটা you'll have to understand. So there are few things we can say যে ঠিক আছে প্যাটার্ন দেখা গেছে যে হ্যাঁ these things are likely to get you into university. So for instance of extracurricular but either like high level achievements like international achievements and whatnot, or like very good descriptions of like actually the ECAs that you've spent your time in, right? So it's not just acha ami debate kortam, but it's just আমি ডিবেট করছি, এতগুলো ট্রফি জিতছি, কমিউনিটি আউটরিচের এই একটা ছোট কাহিনী বললাম, দ্যাটস ভেরি মানে অনেক হার্ট রেঞ্চিং, অনেক সুন্দর, কান্না দেয়া দিছে, ঠিক আছে? It's stuff like this. So a good personal statement will probably get you into a very good university. So that's one another trend I can tell you. Like overall, all of these things matter. Like we can't say for sure যে আচ্ছা এটার জন্য like একটা গ্রুপ স্কোর এটার জন্য কম্পেনসেট করে না কিনা, because each university has a different metric. Maybe some universities like give SAT scores more importance than like essays. Maybe some universities do the opposite. ওরা কার কোন মেট্রিক এটা বোঝা অনেক ডিফিকাল্ট, বাট যেহেতু বুঝতেছি যে দুইটাই ইম্পর্টেন্ট, দুইটাতেই ফোকাস দিতে হবে, স্যাট স্কোরও ভালো করতে হবে, এসেটাও ভালো মতো সুন্দর হতে হবে. So it's kind of like that. That would be my way of like framing it.
So I have another way of looking at it. I didn't really so to me it's like it's kind of, when universities look at it, I kind of saw a mark scheme, and I আমার কাছে বোঝা অনেক easier ছিল since my life is mark schemes, A-level and O-level mark scheme, and everything's like a mark scheme. So usually universities, they mark your application in like usually 4 different ways. So it's academics are your like your school tests, your I think academic tests like world highest country that's not an extracurricular, and then like SAT scores. So and then you have another slot for ECAs, you have another slot, some universities have a slot for sports itself, and then what's it called, personality, which are, oh my gosh, those equations are atrocious, and I don't like, okay, yeah, and so like they mark you. So if you have an ECA, and so they mark you out of 4. So one is like awesome ECA. So if you already have like, if you're already the first in your school, then you're already at 1 in academics. Some university will rank you 1 in academics because you're the best in your school. Then tomorrow our SAT, like they could be 1 or journal. You also have to have, I mean, for a lot of universities, you have to have a 34 plus. So 34 plus in ACT, which is 15000 plus in SAT. So oiter beshi kono value nai oder kache, you know, and so you will still get a 1 either way. If you get a 1520, you will get a 1. If you get a 16,000, you will get a 1 in that category. And but then see that like, and you will get a 0, and you will get like a 4, which is the least score in ECAs if you have no ECAs. So in that way, you can kind of balance it out.
16,000, yes.
Yeah, 16,000. And so I would say, and a perfect score is a perfect score, but they don't really care. I would say why? Because they have seen so many students with perfect scores, and they have rejected so many students with perfect scores. Because to them, they know a perfect score is not equivalent to a student that will do well in their university. Because the way I kind of saw it was that ACT to me enough prep nila, you will get a perfect score, same for SAT. But that does not, that to a certain extent cannot compensate to ECA score. And a big part of university is taking advantage of the opportunities they have. So even if you're really good at academics, if you don't like to meet at the university for it, like this topic, if you're studying like biology, but you don't do anything with your biology degree, to the university you're no worth. And like literally, if you just study it and if you don't get a job out of it, if you don't like try giving back to the community with what you know, which is a lot of times that's what ECAs are, then to the university have very low value. Sorry, it's like, it's about making an impact really, or yeah.
আচ্ছা, নাও একজন জিজ্ঞেস করছে যে স্যাটের প্রোস গুলো কি কি এসিটির উপরে আমাকে বলতে বলছিল, বাট নাও দ্যাট ইউ আর হিয়ার এন্ড ইউ আর অফ কোর্স দ্য বেস্ট টিচার, এন্ড নাও আপু জানি কোথায় পড়ায় আমি জানি না, বাট হচ্ছে ওইতো নাও আপুকে তোমরা জিজ্ঞেস করো সে কোথায় পড়ায়। সো এজন্য তুমি
আচ্ছা, স্যাটের প্রোস ওভার ACT, one, you have better local resources. So local resources bolte you have more
যারা অনেক হেল্প করে সবাইকে।
হ্যাঁ, like I think for ACT you only have like one person, which is Rudiba. So like Rudibar message request হচ্ছে মানে 100টা থাকবে, হ্যাঁ, or like 90টা থাকবে, আমার মেসেজ রিকোয়েস্ট 20টা থাকবে, আনাফের 20টা থাকবে, সাজিদের 20টা থাকবে। So it's gonna be divided. You don't necessarily need to go to one person, so you have like different people to go to. What that means is তোমার প্রবলেম যদি থাকে এন্ড তোমার ধরো আমি একটা সলিউশন দিলাম, তোমার পছন্দ হলো না, অথবা তুমি দেখলা যে তোমার ওইটা it didn't work for you, you can then ask Ahnaf মানে Saad the same thing, or you can ask Sajid the same thing. ওরা কোনো strategy দিতে পারে that might help you, and then you might find something that helps you. The problem is you only have one person to go to, at least আমাদের context, which is Rudiba. হ্যাঁ যে আচ্ছা রুদিবা আপুকে জিজ্ঞেস করি, and then Rudiba's advice may not work, তখন তুমি কি করবে, তখন you're going to panic. But that's one.
Internet.
Yeah. Secondly, ACT তুমি মানে দিয়ে এখন ACT, I don't know cost কিরকম. I think cost বেশি or something.
Beshi, yes.
Oh god, that's very expensive. Like that is
Really?
incredibly expensive.
I
mean, yes, you
cost.
That's very expensive, and like money, it's expensive. Like that's putting a lot of money for something that overall may or may not have like a lot of effect. So especially, and this will depend on what background you're from. So if you're like coming from an English medium background, you already have the advantage of giving an international exam, which is A-level. So that's like a pretty big deal for you. But for NCTB people, even then, like, yeah, NCTB people, even then, like, when ACT, there's not much that you're going to achieve, because ACT is just, I don't know its contents, but like, মানে does it fulfill ওই যে তো মানুষজন আগে কি স্যাট সাবজেক্ট টেস্ট যেটা দিত, রাইট? স্যাট সাবজেক্ট টেস্ট দিয়ে ইয়ে করতো যে আচ্ছা আমি এটাতে আমার প্রফিসিয়েন্সি দেখাচ্ছি। I don't necessarily think ACT is like a very good substitute of that, which I think is the main reason why মানুষজন হচ্ছে ACT করে যে আল্লাহ মিস।
Subject test doesn't matter anymore.
I know, SAT subject don't matter
So
anymore.
who cares? Why? That is an invalid pro.
But NCTB মানুষজন like they particularly worry যে ওরা যদি SAT subject test না দেয়, there was some like they were worried আর কি যে they won't be able to show like an international the credit standard or international evaluation of their intelligence or like their academic strength in those particular subjects. And their point was
it doesn't there's no SAT subject test anymore, and it really doesn't matter. Like SAT 1 and SAT 2 are not related. You can do ACT and then you could do SAT subject test too. So like that is such an invalid argument.
That
everybody is a gangster
that
there is no like format similarity between SAT 1 and SAT 2.
Yes, but like the problem is SAT 2 আর ACT বা একসাথে দিলে যে পরিমাণ টাকা যাবে, ঠিক আছে, that's the like at least 3-4 months of my বেতন, ঠিক আছে? I don't think most people can afford that. And more importantly, I think like money, the cost of like, let's say you're deciding that তুমি SAT দিবা না ACT দিবা. If you're deciding it, the problem is like most universities like ওরা কিন্তু ধরবে যে না, they would rather appreciate SAT scores rather than like having ACT scores, right? In the sense that most universities typically most universities like
which university?
Most universities, I'm not specifying one university.
Go to the university website, they have nothing there. In fact, more people give ACT scores that time. More students give ACT.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm so offended.
Acha, but from a like one from like they would rather it international
invalid.
এটা শুন না তারপর তুই ইনভ্যালিড কর, ঠিক আছে? তুই শুই না ইনভ্যালিড কর, না শুনে নাকি ইনভ্যালিড করতেছিস কে? সো এখন like you have to think from an international student's perspective. After when you're an admissions officer, you're looking at international students, right? If you see someone with a good SAT score, you think, acha, this is a person who has like a very good SAT score, and they think that the standard metric of evaluation অনুযায়ী this person did good. So eta is what that admissions officer has in mind. The problem if you just give ACT is ও চিন্তা করে আচ্ছা এই মানুষটা প্যারা নিয়ে ACT দিছে ভালো কথা, ঠিক আছে, অনেক প্যারা নিছে, এটা একটু ই করবে and this will make them stand out. But then again, if you give ACT, ঠিক আছে, তুমি বললা it shows you off as a unique person, but one, you need to get a very high score, which means you need to get like what 34 out of 36 এরকম high level score পাইতে হবে, which again is a bit difficult, of course, but also like the margin of error is like a lot. So like 34 এর জায়গায় তুমি 32 পাইলা, 32 পাইলা, এটা তখন না will it matter that much, or will it just be very very sad for you যে তুমি 32 পাইছো, right?
No.
তখন তোমার আরো কষ্ট করে যে 2 মার্ক বাড়াইতে হবে,
Are you
2
done?
মার্ক বাড়াইতে হবে, ঠিক আছে?
Are you
Rudiba
done?
is like waiting to see 2 মার্ক বাড়াইতে হবে। এই 2 মার্ক বাড়ানোর অনেক কষ্ট, এই 2 মার্ক বাড়ানোর কষ্ট কেন নিবা? Why are you going to spend so much money just to increase those 2 marks? যেখানে SAT-এ if you get like 1500 or above, that's considered standard, right? You don't have to push yourself to go to those unrealistic levels. I can see Rudiba waiting to roast me.
I'm gonna rant, like rant so bad. First of all,
Yes.
a 15,000 plus, a 15,000
yes.
in ACT, a 34 is equivalent to a 1480 to a 1520. So you can get a lower score technically, but still have the same value as an ACT 15 plus, because 34 plus and 15,000 plus equal dhorhoy, same dhorhoy. Even though literally translate korle, a 34 can also be a 1482. So in that way, it's a pro bonus. You can get away with 20 marks. So that is one thing. Second of all, they don't even they spent like 1 minute on your score, and they're not going to even think about, oh, it must have been harder for them, because they don't know that it's harder to do ACT here. A lot of countries, it's not hard to do ACT. A lot of countries, they do ACT better.
You're destroying your own argument. You don't realize this, right? You're destroying your own argument. Because the only advantage I pointed out earlier was that ACT there, it's like very unique. International
and so yeah, I would say that it's not unique, and they don't care if you give ACT or SAT, because I researched this on a lot when transferring from SAT to ACT, and they don't care. They freaking don't care. It's the same test for them. Unless and it's like literally the same skill to them. Their kids are giving ACT. They don't care. To them, it's both the same thing, because they even give the statistics. 50% of people who get in give SAT, 50% of people who give in submitted ACT scores. They don't care. Like, they literally won't be like, oh, achora SAT so ito jan ora bhalo, or ACT sa tayo ora beshi. They don't care. It's not unique to them. It's the same, because in America, more people give ACT than SAT. And they don't care which one. They don't, like, to them, when they say it's equal, it means it's equal. When they say they don't have a preference, they mean they don't have a preference. And if you don't trust what they say, then, like, who are you going to trust if you don't trust admissions officers and their opinions? And first of all,
operations, the whole documentary, that has made me question things. I don't trust admissions officer. I do not.
Well, honey, I did, and I'm going to get this. So I would say, I don't like the pessimistic attitude where like, acha, SAT optional, kinto da pro care about the SAT thing. I really hate this attitude. I would say this. If you don't trust what the admissions officer says, who are you going to trust? Like, literally, because what they say is what it is. And so it's disrespecting them, literally, quite literally. And so I would say that there's so many parts of your application, or tomar SAT score, they SAT score. They don't care, or that have a perfect score. They're like, oh, it's impressive. They put a lot of time, they know, but they don't care if you have an ACT perfect score or a SAT perfect score. And they don't know in Bangladesh, it's harder to, like, there's less resources for ACT. They don't know. And they don't know what the situation is like in your country, because you're an international student. And for them in America, it's equal. There's equal people giving SAT. There's equal people, like, they don't care. And or they are seeing like thousands of applications, what, 60,000? Or তোমার application নিয়ে এত চিন্তা করবে যে হচ্ছে like, oh, এই মানুষটা ACT অনেক কষ্ট করে দিছে, এটা অনেক unique বাচ্চা. No, like, sorry, I'm burning you, sorry, but they don't care. And then I would say another part of ACT, I would ACT, the biggest pro of ACT is that Bangladesh, since there's more people giving SAT, at least I'm registration course on my seat by night because I went in too late. And then postponed or canceled because of government regulations and because of the size of number of students giving it. ACT tomar test kokono cancel hobe na. It never happened, and I don't think it will happen ever. And COVID time, this is the biggest insecurity. Je hoche amar test ki hobe na ki hobe na. So yeah, sorry, no, I still love you.
It's fine, relax. Allah. Yeah, I mean, like, I am just here I was here as a neutral observer. Ahnaf Saad হঠাৎ করে ধরাই দিছে. I'm just like, I did not take breath. But so ultimately, I think what Rudiba says is true. It really doesn't matter whether you give SAT or ACT. at least from my personal perspective, and also because I haven't personally given the exam, but getting a good score or relatively what's considered a good score is a bit more difficult because again 34 out of 36, that's like a very very high, very good score. And ওইটাকে যদি বলে 1480 in ACT, তাইলে that's like মানে এটার নিচে পাওয়া is like very
Nawal কি pause হয়ে গেছে my screen or
ইন্টারনেট শেষ তার
okay then
না চলে
well, are you back?
Yes, hello, I'm back. I realized I was waiting for my internet to go up because typically এটা হয় I get into sessions and my internet dies. I was like thinking আজকে এটা হবে না, but then it happened anyway.
এই যে বলার সাথে সাথে আবার আহারে কি হিটেড একটা মোমেন্ট ছিল, মানে এর মধ্যে মানে পার্টি কেমন শুরু হয়েছে।
This is kind of an opportunity.
Yeah. I'm in a video screen, but like
yes, লাভ নাই মনে হচ্ছে না। ও লাভ আছে, ঠিক আছে।
শোনা যাচ্ছে?
হ্যাঁ শোনা যাচ্ছে।
এখন ক্লিয়ার? হ্যাঁ, so in my personal opinion, probably getting what's considered a good SAT score, which is like 1500 plus, I think that's easier because it's considered good, like that mark of like considering good is like lower, like 34 out of 36 is like, I don't know, more than 95%, I think. You're gonna 1500 out of 1600 is like, I don't know, less than 90%, it's like around 88%. So like to me it's just like the margin of error is like lower, so like you can just like probably just like get a better score.
I would actually argue about that because look, for 15,000 there's 100 plus minus. The 100s, like DOS score, there's like 10 different scores they can judge you on, like 15, 10, 15, 20, 15, 30. But 34, 35, 36, they can judge you on 2 scores versus 10 different scores, like 10 different levels. And so it's much simpler. ACT hides some of your score that way.
Yes, but like getting that 34 in the first place, that seems difficult to me. The 34 power, just like, my God.
The same way 15,000 is difficult. I mean, 15,000 try course, I got a 1420. It was hard. So yeah, I think it's hard.
It is, and again, it depends on which one you decide to go for. SAT and ACT, they both have like, ultimately they have the same merit overall, at least in the eyes of admissions officers. They have the same merit. It's just tomar logistical kichu para. If you want to give a safer exam, then going for an ACT is a very good option. If you want to go for an exam that like, but you have better resources for because it's been administered in Bangladesh for a long time, SAT is your best bet. But ultimately, it just really depends on like knowing just do good where you're supposed to, where you're confident you're gonna get a good score. তুমি ACT দিলে এত কষ্ট করে, তারপর তুমি 36 তুমি 30 পাইলা, then it's just gonna be actually heartbreaking because এত কষ্ট করে if you don't get what's considered a good score, তখন না it won't তখন there's a high chance that you won't be able to even report it. হ্যাঁ, তুমি স্কোর রিপোর্ট করতে পারবা না। So এটা হচ্ছে একটা প্যারা। So এটা is something that you'll have to understand and then decide on. But yeah, like দুইটা একসাথে দেয়া is just like এই যে হ্যাঁ Rudiba is like no, I'm saying yeah, but দুইটা একসাথে দেওয়া is প্যারা।
আমি এটা খুলে রাখছি, এটা রুদিবার কথা, সেই অনুযায়ী আমি লিখছি।
হ্যাঁ, you have to be observant. Okay. But you have to be observant. That's kind of true.
So I would say
it's stuff like this.
I would give a few cons about ACT. One of the biggest things, it was no problem, but on the support group, I didn't really mind Bangladesh ACT because I'm really very, very, very dependent on the internet, and I'm going to research for it. Like I found plenty of ACT resources. My biggest support is the internet. So I know a lot of people, they depend on like coaching centers, depend on friends who are giving it. Man, I can take a support group than that, and you find comfort in the support group and knowing amar sathe ACT SAT ditase, and so you will get that a lot in Bangladesh. But fewer people give ACT. I found people amar sathe ACT dise, And so I had like I knew two people who were giving ACT. So okay, yeah, basically, so I would say just a lot of people think that they don't have or Ivy League, but they don't know anybody who knows about the US admissions process. But it's really all on the internet. And like the biggest resource, so what happens when you ask a person, they won't shop information like what the amount of time a person spends on a blog or a YouTube video is much more than amount of time somebody will give in thinking and giving you an answer. So you will find more information in a YouTube video or on a blog. And you will find better information and more accurate information, because if you just act from mouth to mouth, like, okay, that sounded weird, but if you act like a person, then they can give you backdated information, they could give you inaccurate information, but like that is also apparent in the internet, but you can fact check from many different websites, which is something I was very reliant on. You did not have to quote them, no.
আমার একটা প্রশ্ন ছিল রুদিবা। So like I wanted to ask যে যারা স্পেশালি ইংলিশে ভয় পায় তাদের জন্য কি এসিটি দিয়ে লাভ কিনা, কারণ স্যাটের ইংলিশ অনেকের জন্য অনেক বেশি টাফ, লাইক মি, I don't like it.
So very good, ACT is for you. So what the thing is, I'm very scared of like SAT passage গুলো অনেক কঠিন, like বিরক্ত লাগতো, low key like বিরক্ত লাগতো for it, and but the ACT ones are very much easier to understand, বুঝতে অনেক সহজ, and they don't ask very মানে it's very more straightforward. I think Bengalis, like especially when it's your second language, it's more easier to understand when it's the questions are straightforward. ACT অনেকগুলো it's like আমি নিজেই বুঝি না, and I like my hobby is reading. আমি বই পড়ি, and SAT was very hard for me. The SAT reading was very hard for me, but ACT সবকিছু প্যাসেজ, সো তোমার বুঝে যে লিখতে হবে ওইটা কিছু না, বুঝে যে অ্যান্সার করতে হবে ওইটা না। It's like in the passage is in the passage, and you generally understand a passage, তোমার analysis করতে হবে না মাথায়। It's like in the passage, and if you understand the passage, you will be able to give the right answer. And the passages are easier to understand, so ওইভাবে it was a thing. But ACT the problem is time, I think. But like Nawal and listening to Ahnaf and Nawal, they said that like A levels on time. Personally, O levels on time ছিল, but like in school exams, I'm like time সবসময় শেষ হয়ে যায়. I never finish an exam early, so I guess I'm slow. But ওইভাবে I thought I was good at time, and so I guess I'm bad at time compared to Ahnaf and Nawal. But still, I was able to give ACT, which is a very time-restricted exam, more than SAT. And I think basically time management on it focus before ACT, but I think as it's shown here, like even if you're not that good at time management, you can still give ACT. But the biggest con I would say about ACT is time management. So tomar ওইটার জন্য strategy use করতে হয়, like brute, just Boric, you have to like practice a lot of question papers for that time management. The time management is like the thing I struggled on the most was time, I would say. And so another thing I would say, practice tests. Practice tests. So yeah, knowledgeable also don't use a lot of books. I completely agree. And practice tests, Diva, from the main like Khan Academy, the practice tests are from College Board. So it's from Jara, like Tomar question paper to Ligba, and those practice tests, they're written by the same person or same organization. So they have the same format, but like a Princeton review practice test will have a slight, even if it's slightly, it will have a different format because somebody else, a different organization is creating that practice test. So I would say always give the practice test from like the organization. So German College Board makes the SAT exam, so give College Board practice test. And even for the ACT, I gave the ACT practice test from the official ACT prep guide, which was past papers and past papers. I didn't do Kristen's reviews practice tests. I didn't do those. You can take strategies from them because official guide is strategy, but those books, they give strategies, but don't give the practice test from them. If you have like specific questions, you got a problem, I guess to me, boy, take a port the bar, but really, I relied on practice tests. And the good thing about it is to me, format that you get Chito with the format, which makes you more comfortable and allows you to answer questions, because like from that I know that ACT English shop সময় এরকম একটা fetcher question দিবে বা double compound. Basically they have a lot. I hate commas, and both in SAT and ACT commas নিয়ে অনেক question আসে. I didn't even know the proper word, commas. Basically only commas second. জিজ্ঞেস করে, is this the right comma? And ওইটা আমার কাছে অনেক confusing, but like if you study grammar and there's like that cheat sheet, okay, let me see if I can link it here, but it has everything in it. So it's like knowing a question to ask yourself, preparing yourself for it. And I think ACT, there's like two questions. You just circle the smallest option and 90% of the times it's right. So yeah, there's like a redundancy question প্রত্যেকবারই আসবে, like at least 2 or 3 of them, or 1 or 2, and it's like the shortest option is the correct option. So, and or the cheat sheet like it's like usually choose the shortest option, but like for accuracy's sake, you still like cross check it to make sense for Naki in the paragraph. But yeah, is ACT math or SAT math easier? Okay, ACT math is slightly harder, I would say, but it's more straightforward and it has more geometry and it has more topics. But and SAT, it has grid-in answers to shisha questions as je tumar fill in the blanks and I tumar right ko to go to samar ko sonic card. And then it's like calculator chart. I'm gonna silly mistakes kori. So calculator chart our panic for the mathe ki sachana 7 plus 5 parina. So এটা কারণে ওই calculator chart আমার কাছে অনেক negative side ছিল. And but SAT math I think lengthier. Questions গুলো like ACT গুলো one sentence, but like very choto, like they don't use a lot of words. Kintu SAT গুলো to অনেক words use for like they have a lot of word problems. And so especially when you're panicked ওগুলো, and I think for Bangla medium or people not are good in English, word problems are trickier. ACT has tricky word problems, but they have fewer, I think. And so in that way, I like the ACT math, but it's really preference to me. Like it's really, I'm boiling down to that. Not one is not harder than the other. Both of them are equal. And I would say, when I gave SAT, I got a 1420. And then when I gave my first ACT practice test, I got a 32. Equal scores. So like with the same preparation, you can get equal scores in both. They're equally hard. But it depends on person to person and which one they prefer more. And I preferred ACT more. And so, yeah. So that's why I gave ACT, not necessarily, and I thought it was easier for me, but yeah. So it's like personal preference, but they're really equal. And so, yeah. And I'm a Bashar Kachuchu, so to me, that was like a pro, because yeah, transportation is like a problem to me. And so to me, it was a pro, but yeah.
I think it's kind of getting late, so last question, so we should probably wrap up.
Yeah.
So the last question is kind of personal. Jay, you said you are slow in like with time. So how did it affect your Olympiads?
Yeah, negatively affected my Olympiads. So I basically I do a lot of competitions, and competitions are all about time. And so I feel like I felt I would do better in the ACT because I procrastinate a lot too. So it's like working with a lot of job, like a lot of pressure is something I feel like through practice I'm used to. So I would say yeah, and so I know like, and I would say I'm slow, but I feel like I utilize this slowness. Yeah, I'm slow because I'm careful. So like yeah, the way I do an Olympiads especially is I'm half an hour আমার এই section to শেষ করতে হবে. If you don't like, and so it's like half an hour doesn't work either. So আমার 5 মিনিট করে অনেক সময় করতে হয় যে 5 মিনিটে এতগুলো section. So you just shorten the time and make sure ওই সময়ের মধ্যে শেষ করো. And so to me, like time management techniques really help a lot. So but yeah, I would say like if I had time, I'm on so it really depends on like a lot of people, they just like rushing through it, and I'm just like and then I recheck, and so I don't do that, and I don't spend too much time on a question. I constantly need to keep a timer. So like for all my ACT sections, I'm like, prathom 10টা question 7 minutes is শেষ করতে হবে, second 10, and আমি লিখে রাখি. Even in my main exam, I mean like 10 minutes in 10 minutes I'll be in question, like at 20 minutes time I'll be in question 15. ওইটা আমার কাগজের উপরে লেখা থাকে, and I cross them out. Like I keep very strict time management in this way, so I don't তারপর হয়ে যায় অনেক সময় you run out of time happens, but yeah. So the time management, like there are tricks to it, and you skip questions that are very hard.
So I guess we're gonna have to wrap up now. So অনেক দেরি হয়েছে, like that was fun, and তাহলে পয়সা পুরা real মারামারি লাগাইলো. So that was good. Okay, let's wrap it up.
I hope Nawal does not break up with me. Okay, but yeah, thank you guys. I had so much fun.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Bye. Have a nice night, and yeah, best of luck on your applications on whether you take SAT or ACT. Best of luck. Yeah.
Wait, Sajid Bhai is here. So Salima.
Hey guys.
Called out. Okay, hi. How are you?
Rajid bin Mohammed Bhai is here. Hi.
I'm doing fine. How's everybody?
We're good.
Great. So I missed the discussion. I'm sorry. My bad.
Yeah, I think
No worries.
I recorded this, so I'm gonna publish it sometime.
Right.
And all my reactions, oh my gosh, it's all recorded. Gosh.
Oh no, you're dead. Is that okay though? Like, should I post it somewhere?
You can post it. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. All right then. Bye guys. Thank you guys so much.
Bye.
for
Tomorrow,
coming. Yeah. I'll leave too.
Where is
Yeah,
Nawal?
thanks.
Did Nawal just leave some minutes ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, Noel left.
আবার আসতে বলো।
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা আসতে বলছি।
For real?
Like that was like epic crackheadery. Nice.
All right then. Yeah, I guess I'll leave then. Bye.
Bye.
Saad, how big do you expect to grow your hairs?
Sorry, 29.
How big do you expect to grow your hairs? Like, is it the
Saad, record off for Saad, record off for.
Okay, I'm gonna stop recording.